What's going on, Dragon Ball fans? Welcome back to another Dragon Ball fan manga review, where today we're going to be reviewing the fan manga entitled Dragon Ball Legendary, which is supposed to be a sequel to Dragon Ball GT following the events of Omega Shenron, and which brings us on a brand new adventure within the Dragon Ball franchise. And for many years now, I've been reviewing and looking over fan-made Dragon Ball concepts and mangas, so today we'll be diving into a brand new chapter of this manga as we pick up with Dragon Ball Legendary manga chapter number 3 entitled Surpassing Perfection, as we see Ultimate Gohan using the Kamehameha against Omega Shenron and blowing him away, and we have Goku and Vegeta, in which Goku says maybe in his Mystic state he can also improve. This state is much better than Super Saiyan, with Vegeta saying that damn, Gohan has surpassed the powers of a Super Saiyan 4 only in his base form. How is this possible? And we see how the Elder Kai shows up next to Piccolo, and he says, Piccolo, I need to talk to you for a minute, and Piccolo having to say, you are the Grand Kai that gave Gohan his power, with the Elder Kai saying yes, and now I am the only Kaio left. You were the Earth's guardian once before, and this is why I want you to be the next Kaioshin god. And we see how Piccolo is saying, a Kaioshin? But I'm not a god, I'm a warrior, with the Elder Kai saying, don't worry about that, I just want to transfer my energy into you. Once you get used to it, you will be able to give Goku his powers and help. I am too old. So this is a shocking revelation, because the Elder Kai is saying, I'm gonna give you my powers, we need to help Goku, and in which Ultimate Gohan's saying, what is Cell up to? He's beside Super 17, and Gohan notices that Cell definitely has a plan here, in which he charges towards Cell, and Cell having to say, Gohan, once again we will meet face to face, but this time the outcome will be different. I will absorb Super 17 and surpass my perfect form. So Cell was slowly creeping up behind Super 17 because he wants to absorb him, and we see how Goku says Cell is trying to absorb Super 17, we must help Gohan, Vegeta, and we see how Vegeta says that I am the most powerful Saiyan, telling me what I should do isn't really a part of my nature, I'm tired of you and Gohan, and in which Vegeta says, this is all your fault, we lost our tails, and don't be a coward, let Cell absorb Super 17, with Goku having to say, my fault, stop being silly, if Cell absorbs Super 17, we won't be able to defeat him in this state, come on Vegeta, and we see Gohan is making his move towards Cell, and we see how Cell sticks his hand out, he opens up his tail, and we see how Cell tries to absorb Super 17 by also blasting Gohan, and we realize at that very point that Vegeta says, idiot, he is beside the dragon, and out of nowhere Gohan turns around and saying, where are you, Cell? And we see how Cell also uses instant transmission and saying, thanks to this tournament, I have the chance to resurrect and even become more powerful than before. I can't travel to the world of the living, but I can travel to another place with the instant transmission. The barrier protecting this tournament has vanished. And Cell goes on to say, I need to concentrate all of my energy to absorb Super 17, and with you here, I can't, and don't try to follow me, or I will only find you and destroy you. I will be back soon to finish off our battle and then destroy Earth. And we see how Cell, just completely disappears, and Goku and Vegeta are like, crap, what do we do now? And we see how Goku says, damn, Cell, now we can't follow him until we regain our strength. The wish has left us without our power to do instant transmission. And we see how Piccolo says, okay, I accept, I will help them, and we see how the Elder Kai says good. And now at the new planet of the Kai of the North, we see how Gotenks is actually training with Majub, which is pretty cool because Majub is testing his strengths against Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, and we see how Majub is so strong that he separates them. And even Majub says, haha, boys, we are finished today with our training. I'm going back to Earth as I promised Pan. I will see her grandchildren fight, in which Trunks says, hey, did you notice the sky suddenly turned black all of a sudden, with Goten saying, yeah, everything is dark, but I mean, how is that possible? Is it possible for that to happen here? With Trunks having to say no, and then Majub says also, Shenron has been summoned on this planet, what the hell is going on? And little do we know that it's Cell. Cell actually managed to bring the Dragon Balls there, and having to summon the dragon, in which he says, thanks to Trunks' energy, I was able to get here. So he was actually able to pick up on the energy of the fight, in which allowed him to get there. And we see how Majub says, Trunks, Goten, follow me, I have a bad feeling. And right then and there, as they get to the planet, Cell captures Super 17 and absorbs him within his body. And at that given moment, we see how Piccolo's back at the Budokai tournament, and he's actually saying, okay guys, I have created your clothes like you asked, and he revives them. And Goku says, thanks Piccolo, this is my favorite clothing. And Piccolo says, How can I be happy in the moment like this? I can't be happy. With Goku having to say, wait a minute, hold on, Cell is absorbing Super 17, with the Elder Kai saying, don't be hasty, Vegeta. When Piccolo becomes a Kaio, not only will he be able to heal you, but also increase your powers as well. With Vegeta having to say his ki is ridiculous, I know where he is. He has gone to the planet where Trunks and Goten are. Piccolo, can you heal like Dende? In which Piccolo is also meditating with the Elder Kai and saying, Piccolo, let's start the process, just concentrate and feel my energy. And Piccolo having to say, what does he mean? And we see how Gohan says, if this takes as long as with me, this is going to be quite a while, but they don't really have time, because while Piccolo is about to become a Kaioshin and while Goku and Vegeta are trying to figure out where Cell is, Cell has increased in power so much that we finally see the merger of Perfect Cell and Super Android 17 in what creates the ultimate perfect being, the ultimate android, the ultimate biological android, in which Goku says, that's enormous energy, I'm not sure, it's done. And we see how Goku says, Vegeta, I think Cell's powers has surpassed that of a Super Saiyan 4, and Vegeta having to say, Kakarot, you are a coward. When I get all my energy back, I will destroy Cell with no problem. And Goku having to say, what are you saying, Vegeta? It's impossible. And the Elder Kai says, shut up, I told you when Piccolo is ready, he can help you defeat anybody, just give me time. And we see how Piccolo says, I am ready, and the Elder Kai says, okay Piccolo, I have concentrated my energy now, I will transfer my powers into you, are you ready? And Vegeta even says, I already told you fools, I don't need any of your help to defeat Cell, much less from a weak Namekian. And we see how the Elder Kai raises his hands and he says, I will give you my power, come back to life, a Kaio god. And he merges his power into Piccolo, and we see how Piccolo, even though he looks pretty badass, he has a Kaioshin outfit, and now we have two different things that occurred in this manga chapter, and we see how Cell has now become the ultimate being, and we see how Majub says, it seems as if he just transformed, with Goten having to say, no, I've never seen him before, as Majub asks about him, but then Goten realizes, I don't know him, but he resembles an enemy Gohan defeated, and he told me the story when he was just a kid, but he looks different than how my brother actually told me back in the day. And we see how Trunks suggests to send them back to hell, with Cell having to say, I've surpassed perfection and absolute power, this was your dream, this was your plan all along when you created Super 17, right Mr. Gero, is to create me to be the perfect being. And then Cell says, ask the dragon for the last wish, now it's time for it to happen, with Shenron having to say, then tell me, what is your wish? And Trunks having to stop him and saying, no, we can't let him make the final wish. And we see how Majub even says, Trunks, you can't defeat him alone, I will fight him too. And we see how Goten even says, if you use all of your Super Saiyan 3 energy, I won't be able to fuse with you, don't do it. And we see how towards the end of the chapter, Cell says, very well Trunks, I suppose I will have to kill you again. So Trunks is trying to oppose Cell, as Cell says, bring it on, because even towards the end, if you oppose me, I will kill you, and which cuts off the chapter with Trunks having to engage Perfect Cell. And with that, we go into Dragon Ball Legendary Manga chapter number 4, Vegeta's Superpower, as we start the manga chapter off with Goku having to say, okay Piccolo, now can you help us, can you restore our energy? And Piccolo having to be really angry and saying, do you really think I will do anything with this stupid outfit? And he actually spawns a new black outfit, very similar to his white one, except it's black. And we see how Goku notices someone in the background saying, wait, and Piccolo having to say, now I'm ready to fight, my powers have grown, I will restore your energy, and we will go after Cell. And we see Bardock emerge from the shadows and saying, listen to me Kakarot, I have to tell you, you have to trust me, all of you will die if you face Cell right now. And we see how Goku says, hey, is it just me, or does he look like me? He looks like a Saiyan. And we see how Vegeta says, don't be an idiot, Kakarot, he is your father, Bardock. So for the first time, we have Bardock meeting Goku, and we see how Goku says, so you're my father? No, my name is Goku, not Kakarot. And we see how Bardock says, I am not here to know your name. I must warn you that Cell will kill you if you fight him now, but you must let Vegeta go, because I have a gift. And Vegeta having to say, and why should I listen to you? And we see how Bardock says, a warrior from another planet has given me the power to see the future. I have seen you defeat all your enemies, but this time it's different. And Goku having to say, so what are you trying to do, Vegeta? I think we should trust him. And Vegeta having to say, I will not listen to this nonsense anymore. I am out of here. With Vegeta having to say, this is all nonsense. I won't listen to an inferior warrior. I don't need a Namekian. I am completely recovered and my tail is lost, but even with that, I will fight Cell and I don't need either of you. Don't you think I showed you my full power before? Stay here with your father. So he is very overconfident in saying, you know what, screw all of you, I'm gonna do my own thing. And we see back at the North Kaio planet, Super Saiyan 3 Trunks engage Perfect Cell, and we see how Majub is saying watch out, with Perfect Cell having to seem to have the upper hand against Trunks, with Trunks having to say how can he have gotten so much power, with Goten having to say that monster is very powerful, only with one finger he would destroy us, not even fusion would be able to beat him, with Majub having to say not even now that I am as strong as a Super Saiyan 4 can I defeat him, even so I cannot let you get away with this, even so I cannot let you get away, I will send you back to hell, with Cell having to say Goku is no longer a problem and soon you won't be a problem either, and he kicks Majub so hard in the face he goes flying backwards, and we see how Cell attacks Goten. He's attacking everyone, even Super Saiyan 3 Trunks, and with ease he is destroying all three of them with little to no effort, and Cell having to say I'm afraid you are not a worthy opponent for me, that way I will kill you all once and for all. And just as that happened, we see Cell use the Big Bang attack, but then Vegeta instantly transmits there and he deflects the Big Bang attack away, and he's kind of using like his hands, sort of putting them in the Final Flash position and saying hey Cell, and we see how finally everyone's like Vegeta, father, and Vegeta having to say what's wrong, Insect, don't you get tired of changing the looks all the time? It doesn't mean you're gonna get any stronger, it doesn't mean you're better than me. And we see how Vegeta says I don't need Super Saiyan to destroy you, while Cell is saying you're always so proud. I must confess I didn't expect this power from you from such a measly Super Saiyan, and Vegeta having to show Cell a brand new power in which we see a blue aura, a blue light engulf him, and then out of nowhere we see how King Kai is saying Vegeta, how did you manage to control Elio-Ken? That technique is very difficult, you are a true warrior. And King Kai explains that Elio was a warrior from the North Galaxy, he came to train with me one day, his powers were not high but he had an incredible technique, the Elio-Ken, and a technique like that can allow your powers to go beyond its limits as much as your adversary would require. That is a difficult technique to perform. And we see how Piccolo is back with Goku and he's looking within the crystal ball and saying Vegeta, it's incredible, Gohan, Goku, you have to see this. And we see how Gohan and Goku gather up and Gohan saying look dad, it looks like Kaioken, except Goku saying but wait, it's different. I mean Goku, this technique Vegeta is using is way more powerful than Kaioken, he is now stronger than even a Super Saiyan 4, which honestly I don't like how everyone in this manga chapter is stronger than a Super Saiyan 4. It kind of diminishes Super Saiyan 4, but Goku even says this time you fooled me, you could have ended our battle with ease whenever you wanted, but you tricked me. So now it was Vegeta that was holding back from Goku, and we see how Gohan even says this is awesome, how much power he has, it's incredible. And we even see at that very point how Vegeta and Cell are beginning to battle. Even though Vegeta doesn't look like he changed, he's actually giving Cell a formidable battle. As they're going back and forth, we see energy blasts colliding, we see how Cell teleports behind Vegeta, Vegeta teleports behind Cell, and it's an ongoing battle until Vegeta says damn Insect, I'm wasting my energy, and we see how Cell puts his hands together and using the Final Flash against Vegeta. And even back at the Budokai tournament, we see how Goku powers up even as a Super Saiyan 3 and saying damn Cell, I cannot wait, I have to go help Vegeta, and Bardock saying no, wait, you have to wait, and Goku having to say I can't stay here without doing something, and Bardock having to say nothing, you already changed history by listening to me, let it be. In my visions, I saw you fight against Cell with Vegeta, and I still saw you die. It's time to free all of your power, and Goku having to say, what are you talking about? And Bardock having to say, I'm not the one that can do that, it's him, and he points at the Namekian and saying the Namekian will be the one that will help you free your power. You still don't know it, but you have learned it by yourself. You have the ability to unleash the mystic Namekian power, and Piccolo having to say, but how can he do that? That doesn't make any sense. The mystic Namekian power, and Bardock having to insinuate that if Piccolo were to help unlock his powers, only then will Goku become the most strongest ever, if of course he were to listen and undergo that technique by allowing Piccolo to unleash Goku's powers. So Bardock is telling Goku to stay back, let Vegeta and Cell have their moment in history and do not intervene, but instead, while Vegeta is fighting Perfect Cell, allow yourself to have your powers unlocked by the new Kaioshin. So overall, I'm gonna have to say that this manga chapter, even though there are way too many people stronger than Super Saiyan 4, which I think is really dumb, the concept behind Vegeta having his moment against Cell does make sense, although we don't really know how strong each character is as of right now in comparison to Omega, in comparison to even Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, if that would have made a difference. Either way, we do do understand that Bardock is keeping Goku at bay and telling him you cannot intervene, you have to let things play off. So post your comments down below, guys. What are your overall thoughts on this manga chapter? What are your overall thoughts on this new Mystic Namekian power? What are your overall thoughts on Vegeta versus Cell? Post your comments down below, guys. Thank you all for watching. If you guys are Dragon Ball fans, don't forget to subscribe for more awesome Dragon Ball news, information, and updates. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to go ahead and slap a like down below. Tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing you all in the next Dragon Ball fan manga review. Take it easy, guys. Peace.